Rotator cuff injuries can be painful and they can take a long time if they're not managed correctly. So today we're going to break down the 3 fundamental aspects of the rotator cuff to make sure it heals properly.
Number 1, we need shoulder positioning. 2, we need to stretch the muscles. And 3, we need to strengthen the rotator cuff.
By learning about these 3 aspects of the rotator cuff, we're going to make sure you're well equipped with the knowledge and information, the right exercises to make sure we get the quickest and longest lasting results when it comes to the rotator cuff and shoulder. The reason that we see so many rotator cuff injuries has a lot to do with the variables within the shoulder joint. It's a unique joint in that it has so many different movements and it's actually not in a socket. The shoulder itself, this bone here known as the humerus, is actually suspended via muscles and ligaments within that joint, which allow it to give it all of that range and all of that movement. Now, if the position of the shoulder is not correct, what it actually does is it increases susceptibility to rotator cuff tears and injuries. So what we have to do is we have to make sure that we get the position of the shoulder right to start with to make sure that these rotator cuffs can heal properly. So the first aspect of that is looking at the position of the shoulder. What we see a lot of today, unfortunately, is a lot of rolling inward of the shoulders. So the shoulders rolling forward, and from the side, this is what that looks like. So that's the normal position, and then it rolls in. When it rolls in, what it actually does is it reduces something known as the subacromial space. This is the area where the rotator cuffs travel through the shoulder joint, and every time then you raise your arm up, it actually hits up against that rotator cuff and causes friction and gradual tears. And this is why rotator cuff tears can actually start and evolve over months and years, and then eventually you'll get the final symptoms, or the symptoms will gradually increase. One thing to be mindful of is if your shoulder, if it's rolled forward, try and raise your arm up straight. And what you'll find is it'll get to an end range where you can't lift it any further. At that point, it's hitting up against the rotator cuffs. And then reposition your shoulder in its normal position and then raise your arm up. And what you'll find is you'll get all of that range of motion. There's no pressure on the rotator cuffs. So number 1, thoracic posture. In between the shoulder blades, we have to make sure that the chest is out, the shoulders are back, and that positions the shoulder in the right position. If you're at a desk, if you're doing a lot of lifting, whether it's CrossFit or weights, you want to make sure that before you do those movements, the shoulders are in the right position to do the movements. If you're sitting at work, make sure the posture's upright, the core's strong, to make sure you keep those shoulders back. And that just allows all those muscles and the shoulder complex to move properly and to heal properly.
2 stretches we need to do to keep the shoulder loose enough that it can stay in the proper position. One for the pec minor, which sits on the front of your chest, and one of your posterior muscles along the back. So number 1 is a doorway stretch. Find a doorway or a wall. Line yourself like this, thumb facing up, and then rotate your body to the side. And you'll feel a nice stretch through the front of the shoulder. You want to hold that stretch for 30 seconds and then wait a moment, then do it again. Now the second one for the back muscles is just a simple one we've often all learnt. Across the body, thumb down, then pushing on the elbow, pull the shoulder back towards you. And again, 30-second hold, and repeat it twice, a few times a day. So we also need to strengthen the rotator cuff to allow it to heal and to help that process. One of the most important ones is actually getting the shoulder blades, which sit on your back. So you've got 1 shoulder blade, 2 shoulder blades. They need to sit pulled backwards. So if they're forwards and hanging open, the shoulder's out of position. So we need the muscles to reposition that shoulder. So a nice way to practice that is putting your thumb underneath the bone, the movement of the ear, put it below and push down against it using your shoulder blade, and hold that for 10 seconds. And just repeating that 10 times in a row, you'll feel your muscles starting to work and starting to fire. Now the second one is, Greg, I'll need you, is to also strengthen the back muscles to help with that shoulder position. So if you hold on to there, you can do this around a doorknob, shoulders back and down, and then draw your elbows back, hold for 3 seconds, 1, 2, 3, and control it coming back. Notice my shoulders didn't come forward as I went, and also as I come back, my shoulders don't come forward. They stay back the whole time through. And that should be a very comfortable exercise to do. You want to do about 20 of those to feel the muscles working. Now the last one, which really loads the rotator cuff, it's called the external rotation stretch. You can do it just on your own. Wrap the band around your fingers. Again, get that good shoulder positioning where the shoulders are back and down. And then holding your left hand still, if I've got a right rotator cuff problem, then rotate out to the side, keeping the elbow against the body. Hold 1, 2, and slowly back in. Again, notice that my shoulder is really strictly back and down. And I'd go out and in about 10 or 15 times, whatever you can handle there. Okay, all the best.